football today, and we talked LSU offense yesterday. We'll get to the defense this morning here as we will break down that position group and that side of the ball when we talk about the depth chart. And look, when we rolled through the offense yesterday, I mean, you can hear it. I mean, there are weapons, there is depth, there is big-time players, there's high-round draft picks everywhere. You've also got a rookie class coming in that is going to, help on that side of the ball. For as talented as they are in the guys that they have coming back, the guys that are coming in are going to help as well. I mean, when you're talking, we mentioned Cohen Eccles, who is the offensive lineman. I mean, he's pushing right now as a backup center, somebody that to watch on offense. We mentioned Caden Durham, the running back out of Texas, the tailback who's coming in from Duncanville. He seems like he's going to help on that side of the ball. I mean, Trey-Dez Green is one of 2 5-stars in this class, and he's the number 1 tight end in the country, even though they're pretty healthy at tight end. I would imagine that Trey-Dez Green is going to have some type of input on this offense just with how talented he is. I mean, there's got to be some type of packages that feature him, I would think. And then, I don't ever, discount a wide receiver coming in, because I don't mean this by any means with any disrespect. I just think that the transition from high school to college it can be made easier for a wide receiver if they're physically ready to go, right? I mean, if you're not physically up to it, then there's going to take a little bit of a curve. Think Shelton Sampson. Shelton Sampson, from a skill set standpoint, has always been ready for college football. He's needed to take the last 2 years to really kind of get his body ready to go, right? I mean, you probably wouldn't want him taking a shot across the middle last year. Just with his physically, he's got to get a little bit bigger and stronger. I look at a guy like Jelani Watkins in this class at wide receiver, and I know they've got some talented wide receivers. Just with his speed, maybe he can help in a specialist type of role, or maybe like 1 or 2 packages for him, or plays where you just put him outside on like a 3-by-1 set, put 3 over here, put him over there by himself, and just say, sprint.
Yeah, see, like with Jelani Watkins, I'd probably go more of like a Percy Harvin or like a Trenton Holiday. Like you just put him, in the slot. Let's run a pop pass to him. Like, just get his speed and space and let him go. Like, not really like try to throw him the ball too much, because he's a freshman. Like, he's gonna have that freshman moment, just like Sheldon Sampson had, just like all the other freshmen that came before him. But I think if you get him like you said, in the return game, or just like maybe even like a wildcat, like just throw him back there and let your athlete be an athlete. Like, and it probably won't be like the first couple weeks of the season unless he just comes to camp and dominates. But at some point in the season, you'll probably see Jelani Watkins.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, just too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Too fast.
And you also mentioned Caden Durham. I'm interested to see where he fits in the running back rotation. Like, especially just coming in as a freshman. It's a lot to learn. We saw it with Caleb Jackson last season. I think he has all the tools to be a great college running back and NFL running back. It's just him learning the nuances of the game, like pass block, pass pro. Like, that's usually like the toughest thing for a freshman to learn coming to college. I think he'll probably get it just because he's got the size, he's got everything else. So I'm just interested to see where Frank puts him like on the totem pole of running backs.
I agree. And I think you have the luxury with a guy like Caden Durham when you have Josh Williams and you have Caleb Jackson of just kind of a specialty type back, that you can throw in there, and he can change the pace. He can hit you with, a different type of speed. He can hit you with a different type of look, and you give him 3-4 touches a game. It's not anything where you're counting on him to be some type of workload guy for you, but it gives you a luxury, especially when you have this offensive line that's going to be opening up holes, and you can hit them with different types of speed, physicality. I mean, with Josh Williams, Caleb Jackson, and Caden Durham, that is a 3-headed monster that I mean, it's all a little bit different. It's all a little bit of, of a different style. So as long as they can stay healthy up front, which they've got the luxury of depth on the offensive line of staying, hopefully they can stay healthy with the guys that they have. Yeah, that running game to me is going to be the biggest benefactor of it, and Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah,
I mean, really and truly, I can't wait till, see Nussmeier run this thing start to finish.
Got the keys to the plane now,
and it's time, man, and it feels good for him, right? I mean, somebody that's really in a day and age that. I think you'll look back on the Nussmeier story 3, 4, 5 years from now and say, look, that was the NIL transfer portal age that Nussmeier was in at LSU. And he could have easily gone somewhere else, right? I mean, and don't think that he's had to not turn down other people. So I just think he's very much kind of an outlying player in the sense of that he is someone who's had the opportunity, who's had the probably NIL opportunities put in front of him, and he stayed with the school that he committed to, developed at, fought through adversity at, and now it's his time. And man, I just hope that pays off for him in the sense of, you earned it. I mean, here's your patience being rewarded for all that you've gone through, all the growing up that you've had to do in the last 4 years. And now here you go. I mean, here is the keys to an offense that's coming off of a year where it produced a Heisman Trophy winner and was nearly wire to wire the number one offense in the country. So, I mean, it's a great spot to be LSU offensively. Here's where the concern is, and Sabrion Green asks, is there any news on Trey Holly? There's nothing official on Holly. There's a lot of hearsay. There's a lot of expectation. There's a lot of talk that all of this is going to be okay for Trey Holly. Like at some point, it's going to be cleared, new judge put in place. All of what happened seemingly at the front end of this did not necessarily. It doesn't seem like it's the right story. So at some point, it feels like the Trey Holly situation is going to relieve itself and it's going to be okay. It's not officially happened yet, though. Like it's not. There's nothing official that says that's going to happen or that it has happened. There is a ton of expectation and what feels like momentum that it is going to happen. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we'll see just in fact if it does. So, LSU offensively, I think is sitting in a really good spot.
Yeah. And
they have a really good opportunity to be one of the most, to be a very much dominant offense once again. And then you peel over to the defensive side of the ball, and defensively, I will say this: there are, and again, it was the frustrating part about last season on a defense that featured names like Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo and Harold Perkins. How in the world were they so bad? I mean, you would just think by the players that you roll out there alone, you would have success in playing on that side of the ball, but obviously they did not. And a lot of those struggles came from some limited depth in key positions like defensive backfield and along the defensive front. But, last season the scheme didn't seem to work. The plan was not seemingly the right one put in place for this team to have success. And now with a guy like Blake Baker, who's very creative, another mind like Bo Davis, who comes in with a ton of experience and seen just about everything you can in football, and then adding Corey Raymond back into the mix, the player situation should work itself out here over the next cycles. I mean, I would imagine that you're going to get some players in. Yes, you did miss on some guys in the defensive line transfer portal, and no excuse for that. You know, I mean, obviously you got to get those guys in, but I do expect the player, the roster, the defensive side of the ball to be shored up here in the next few cycles. What it means immediately for the 2024-2025 edition of the LSU team is still very concerning, right? And again, I have said numerous times going into this season, I have expectation for LSU to perform and be, a contender. I did also say that 3 weeks ago, that was a big part of the feeling going into the year of whether or not they were going to be a pretender or a contender heading into the season, and missing on some of these defensive line guys like they did and not bringing in and stacking up that group does give me a little cause for concern on going into the season on just whether or not they're going to be able to, finish the race with, and it's not the caliber of player. I think they've got some guys in there that can step up and play some pretty big roles. Jacoby and Guillory's played a lot of football inside. He's coming in with a ton of experience. I think he is somebody that gives you some confidence of who you roll out there up front. You've got a guy like Don McKinley coming in who's a 5-star defensive line prospect who, by all accounts, had a great postseason with his Under Armour circuit, and then, the last part of his senior year was really, making that push that people expected him to really have in his final year. I mean, he was going into his senior season, he was the state's #1 player. Now, after it, I mean, you've got people that have shaken it up and put Gabe Relaford or Trades Green, but Don McKinley's right there, so he comes in with the expectation to help immediately. I hate putting pressure on a freshman of saying you got to play. And not only do you have to play, you got to make plays. So I mean, it's still very concerning. I mean, I think is the word that I would use on just where they are.
Yeah. But to me, like you saying, like Don McKinley, like telling a freshman, like you got to come in, you got to play, and you got to make plays. To me, that's what every freshman wants, right? Like if you in a perfect world, coming into college, 5-star prospect, the first thing you're thinking about is playing time. Like, am I gonna play? And for him, I mean, he falls into the perfect situation. LSU's thin at defensive line. He's the top defensive lineman in the state, possibly in the country. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better situation if you're Don McKinley. Like, I get to play for my home state school, and I get to start my freshman year, and they want me to make plays. Shit, I'll take that at 10 out of 10 days, 7 out of 7 days, every day of the week. I take it. So, I mean, for him, it's just about coming in, learning the scheme, learning what he has to do to be the best he can be right now, and for LSU, it's just teaching him those things, like teaching him what he needs to do. And, I mean, I think having a guy like Jacoby and Guillory who's been around the program for a while, who knows, who's seen it, who's done it in the SEC, I think that'll help him a lot. And the same thing with, like, Caden Durham. Like, what better guy would you want teaching you how to be an LSU running back than Josh Williams?
Yeah.